Hey guys, my name is Kevin. This is the War Against Narcissism, and if you like this content, please like, follow, subscribe, and share with your friends in order to raise narcissistic abuse awareness. Now, in today's video, what I would like to talk to you about is victim blaming. Now, I have addressed this before, but I've addressed it from the point of speaking to the victim blamer, not the victim that was blamed. And I think it's important to speak to the victims that were blamed and to basically spread the message, which is the title of this video, which is, it's not your fault, right? Now, this reminds me of the movie Good Will Hunting. I haven't seen it as an adult, I've seen it as a kid, but there was a scene with Robin Williams, rest in peace, and Matt Damon, where he would keep repeating to him, it's not your fault, it's not your fault, it's not your fault, and he would hug Matt Damon, and Matt Damon just broke down and cried. And hopefully I don't make you break down and cry, but if you do, and it's cathartic for you, it's healing for you, so be it. But that's not my goal. My goal is basically to confirm what you may already believe, or to bust the myth that you may have heard, where victim blamers will say that it's your fault. You know, you should have known better. You should have been a better judge of character. You should have known that this person was no good for you, that this person had no interest in you, or this person didn't have good intentions for you. You should have picked a better partner. You should have known that this was going to happen to you, or you knew what you were doing when you were getting into a relationship with this person. You knew what was going to happen. You just chose to overlook it, right? As if people really make the decision to get into a relationship with someone knowing that they're going to be abused, right? It's like, who does that? I don't know what kind of mentality that victim blamers think that victims have, where victims choose to be victims, but that's not how it works. And you know, I think it's comparable to a very common situation where a spouse is being abused physically by their significant other, but they keep going back to that person. And after a certain point, people around will say, well, you know what you're doing, you want this clearly, and I have no sympathy for you. And it's like, if you're the type of person that has no empathy for these kind of people, I mean, I can understand where you're coming from, because that kind of mentality comes from a place of either ignorance or lack of empathy. And when I was ignorant to it, I did lack somewhat lack empathy to it. But I think it's important to understand that when it comes to victims that choose to be with abusers, or victims that are attracted to people that are abusers, it's not your fault, right? A lot of this has to do with your upbringing, right? If you were the child of a narcissistic parent or narcissistic parents, you were conditioned as a child to be attracted to that type of person, right? The saying goes, you date your father or you date your mother, or you marry your father or you marry your mother, meaning not that you marry your parents, right? But meaning that whoever has raised you, you will end up with someone that is similar to that person. Now, if you are looking for a healthy relationship, which I believe everyone is to an extent looking for a healthy relationship, I wish you much luck. But the issue with that is, if you've never known a healthy relationship in your life, if from the beginning of your life, your idea of what a relationship was a toxic one, a relationship with no boundaries, a relationship where you don't matter, a relationship where the feelings of the other person take over everything, and if you have needs, you're punished for having them. If you speak your mind, if you try to communicate, you're punished for communicating. Obviously, it's going to be really hard to find what you're looking for if you don't even know what you're looking for looks like, right? I hope this sentence made sense when I said it. But it's going to be really hard to find something that you don't know what it looks like. You don't know what it feels like. You don't know. You don't have the slightest clue as to how to attain this thing that you want, right? So it's really important. I want you guys to understand this, so I'm going to repeat it again. It is not your fault. If you are in a relationship with a narcissist, if you've been in a relationship with a narcissist, the truth is you were probably in relationships, or you have probably had family relationships with narcissists that normalize this kind of behavior. Because here's the truth. Anyone can be fooled by a narcissist, especially a covert narcissist, because they don't present themselves as the overt, the grandiose narcissist, which are very obvious. But when it comes to dealing with narcissists, the truth is, if you were not conditioned to normalize that kind of behavior or accept that kind of behavior in your childhood or in your past in general, the truth is you will leave. You will not take that kind of treatment, that kind of abuse. If your parents validated you as a child, if your parents made you feel like you mattered, your feelings mattered, you have a right to your boundaries, to your privacy, to anything of that nature, right? First of all, you're probably not going to be the type of person that is going to inflict abuse on others. You're probably going to be the type of person that is able to love others from a genuine place, because you've been loved from a genuine place. But furthermore, if you were the type of person that was raised by a parent that attuned to you, that made you feel like you mattered, if you date someone that makes you feel like you don't matter, it's going to feel awkward and weird, and you're not going to like it, and you're gonna leave, right? However, if you were raised by someone that made you feel like you don't matter, and you start to date someone that makes you feel like you don't matter again, it's not gonna feel good, but it's gonna feel familiar. And people tend to stay in their habits, especially if you don't even know it's a habit, especially if you don't even know it's toxic, you don't even understand it. So in summation, the message I'm trying to spread is that you weren't abused because you chose to be abused. You weren't abused because you chose to stay, within the abuse. You were abused because you met an abuser, right? The person that abused you in whatever relationship it might have been, right? The person that abused you could have also chosen to not abuse you, but they didn't make that choice. They chose to abuse you, and that's their choice. Whatever accountability you have to take for staying with that person, you take, and you change your ways and you learn from it, right? But to say that it's your fault that you were abused is completely wrong. It's false. It's a victim blamer's prayer, right? It's how they get the accountability off of them and put it back to you, which, of course, if you're the type of person that abuses people, you're probably not going to want to take accountability for it, right? Any type of leeway you can get to say that it's not your fault, it's the fault of the other person, you're going to jump on that. But that is false. You were abused because you met an abuser, period.